Hello fellow simmers, and welcome back to my channel. My name is A Feral Simmer, and I am here to do the second part of my introductions video. This part will be Veronaville. So here is a lower view of my Veronaville. For the most part, it has stayed the same. The Capp side has definitely grown a lot more as opposed to the Monty side, but we'll see everybody here in a minute. For the most part, Veronaville and Strangetown were the reasons why I wanted to start Big Hood like this, and that was because I had never played Veronaville, like actually played it with all of the pre-mades, nor with Strangetown, and I always had a hard time playing those households because I always thought the neighborhood was too small. So I figured, let's just play all of them together. And honestly, it's been a blast, so I'm really excited to go over what's happened for everyone in Veronaville here. So I feel like a good starting place would be over here at the Capp Manor. I did replace this house with a download, and I do like this house a lot. But here we have Juliet, and this is actually Tybalt, and this is Juliet's family. Tybalt recently just moved in, but I'm going to go over their description. Juliet has taken to leading the Capp dynasty like a fish to water, but keeping traditions alive is harder than it seems. Will she keep to the ways it's always been, or will she allow her children to forge a new path? Two of these Sims are bald. I promise they have hair. So this is my Capp Manor. Currently living here we have Tybalt, Juliet, Moses, who is a townie that Juliet ended up marrying, Corey Capp, and Natalie Capp. The main story with this household really was Juliet lived here basically for her entire life other than when she went to university. She was with Romeo up into her actual graduation party where she ended up catching him cheating on her. So she basically left college with a degree and no boyfriend, even though her and Romeo were in fact planning on getting married. So for a little while, Julia ended up being single, and then she just went out on the town and she met Moses here. Moses is a fortune sim, so him and Juliet, her being considered a rich sim, ended up working out really well. They only had 2 children. That really, I mean, she says that she wants one now, but unfortunately she is 5 days from becoming an elder, and Tybalt here is already an elder, but we'll go over and see their specifics now. So here we have Tybalt playing the piano, unsurprising. That seems to always be the case when it comes to my Sims here. So Tybalt did not live here for basically most of his adulthood. I had him living on his own. He has been a Sim that has had zero interest on actually like settling down and getting into an actual relationship with anyone. He actually had a long-term affair with Mary Sue Pleasant until she passed away recently. He does have a couple flings with some other Sims in town, but for the most part, he has really just been focused on his music. He's really into music, and he actually took up writing. He has a career in the criminal career. He is a getaway driver. He didn't go to college, so he's not going to progress in this career anymore. He is a popularity Sim. He's a Gemini, and this is all stayed the same, so halfway between sloppy neat, outgoing, a little active, a little bit more serious, and grouchy. To be honest, I don't really like Tybalt, which is why I wanted him to move in with Juliet, so that way I would have one less household. And then he is a secondary fortune Sim. So he was barely scraping by for the longest time, so that was the reason why he ended up moving in, is because it's easier to live in the Capp Manor knowing that this is where all the money is. You wouldn't have to worry about his rent or anything. But yeah, he's an elder. Other than he, like I said, hasn't settled down. He doesn't have any kids. So he's just been kind of like the cool uncle, but he is always stealing newspapers. Juliet, also known as the heiress of the Capps, she is the matriarch. She is currently playing chess with her son here, Corey. He just got back from university. I am planning on moving in his fiance probably today. So Juliet, she's still a family sim. She wants a baby, but she also fears baby, but she is 5 days from becoming an elder. She kind of got a late start because she was expecting to be with Romeo, and unfortunately he broke her heart. She is in the politics career. She's a congressperson. She hasn't really cared to go much farther than this. So, and I think this just happened because she got a bunch of chance cards and got really lucky. So, level 7 congressperson is probably as far as she's going to get. She is a secondary popularity sim, which I think works really well because then she could have lots of parties and host here. Her traits are she's a slob, she's brave, she's a savvy sculptor, she's a diva, and she is dramatic. So she's going to be aging up, not this round, but next round. But we'll go ahead and see Moses. So Moses here is, in fact, just a random townie. He is a fortune sim, so he was more than happy to move in to Juliet's manor, knowing that it was considered marrying a rich sim. He's very far in the athletic career. He's very successful, and I'm sure he will eventually get to level 10. He's a little bit younger than Juliet. He's 13 days away from becoming an elder. He has a secondary knowledge aspiration, and then for his traits, he's eco-friendly, avant-garde, kleptomaniac, lucky, and handy. And then we're going to go see Corey. Back up with his mother. So like I said, Corey just got back from university today, or I guess it would have been like last night. He is a family sim. He isn't really the one that's supposed to take over the Capp family, like finances and whatnot. I want to get a good look at him actually, because the Capps are generally known as a matriarchal family. I kind of see it as they hold mothers in high regard, and we'll actually see how Hermia has taken that into her personality. So Corey here, he's a family sim. He is, like I said, probably going to have his fiance move in. I believe Juliet and Moses have already met her, so I probably would like them to meet before she stays, so maybe I'll have a dinner. So he's a family sim. He does have a career already, so he's in the intelligence career. He's a reconnaissance communicator, level 5. He's a Taurus, so he's neat, a little neat. He's more shy. He's in between lazy and active. He's pretty playful, and he's a little grouchy. And he is a secondary knowledge sim. When it comes to his traits, he's over-emotional, he's a light sleeper, socially awkward, unflirty, and I haven't given him his last trait, so I will have to do that when we play him next. Natalie over here talking to her uncle, whose arm is being all weird. There it is. She was originally planned to be the next Capp heiress. She is going to go to college. She's a fortune sim, so she definitely wouldn't decline being that. However, she is technically gay. She is a lesbian. I'm not sure. Her and Poppy here don't have the greatest chemistry, nor does Poppy is kind of not from the best family, which kind of matters to the Capp, so we'll see if that's going to be a problem, but I'm not even sure. I think they will go off to college together, but we'll see if they continue their relationship. But she does actually have a job, so she's an overachiever. She's in the athletic career. She's a Sagittarius. She's a little bit more sloppy, in between shy and outgoing, very active, pretty playful, and a little bit grouchy. And she's not going to have a secondary yet, but she does have some traits. She loves the heat, she's brave, and she loves to swim. So perhaps we'll get her a pool, or maybe if she doesn't become the heir, she will get her own pool. But we will have to see when we play them. Like I said, this family's aging up. I don't know how much longer Tybalt's going to be around. He did turn into an elder not that long ago. He just kind of goes off. Since he's in the criminal career, he works late at night, so I kind of have him do his own things. He's definitely not my favorite sim, mainly because he starts problems literally everywhere he goes, but that's the fun of the Sims, right? I also don't know, did I cover his traits? He's a party animal, he's a mooch, he's a daredevil, he has commitment issues, and he is unlucky. So yeah, he was okay living on his own, but honestly, it's probably best that he moved in with his sister. As much as it is kind of a hit to the ego. So that is my Capp Manor house. I think since we've seen Tybalt and Juliet here, we should go and probably see Hermia and what she's up to. So Hermia and her husband Puck are over here, kind of at the corner edge of the Capp side of Veronaville. Here she is with Puck and 3 of their children. They do have one more child who is currently in university. Her name is Faye. I'll go ahead and read the description. Hermia would never admit to being jealous of Juliet, but deep down she believes she should have been seen as the matriarch of the Capps. Can she prove herself in other ways, and will Puck's eccentric family affect that? Welcome to the home of Puck and Hermia Summerdream and their family. Currently in this household, we have Avelina, Adeline, and Zephyr. Adeline and Zephyr are twins. So Puck here has had a great life. He is actually 6 days from becoming an elder. I did try to give him like a hair with a little bit of gray growing in, since he's definitely getting up there in age. He won't become an elder until next round, but he's had a great life. He is a popularity sim. They have lots of parties because they have so many kids. He made it to the top of the science career, so he is a mad scientist. He is a Taurus, so he's pretty neat. He's shy, a little active, more serious, and very, very nice. His secondary is knowledge. And then for his traits, he loves the heat, night owl, irresistible, natural cook, and loves the outdoors. So yeah, I will show their family tree just because I want to show their other daughter who is not here. This is Faye Summerdream. She's currently at Sim State University. But we will see her at the end of the round. We're going to go to see Hermia now. So this is Hermia over here. She's playing video games because she did get to the top of the gamer career. She is a family sim, and she managed to have a very big family. And like I said, when it comes to the Capps, I feel like they have, they hold mothers in high regard. So knowing that Hermia has had a bunch of kids, she kind of feels like she has fulfilled kind of her Capp role. She's level 10 game designer in the gaming career. She is still a Virgo. She's a little bit more neat, kind of shy, active, a little bit more serious, and in between grouchy and nice. Her secondary is knowledge as well. So her and Puck got along really, really well. Her traits are handy, family-oriented, lucky, excitable, and eco-friendly. Well, yeah, that's just Hermia. She has 8 days until she becomes an elder. So we're going to have both of them become elders next round. So here we have Avelina Summerdream. This is the second daughter of Puck and Hermia. She's actually the only one that got the pointed ears in this family, that's from Puck's family. So I'm glad that at least one of their children got it. I want you to turn around. So yeah, she's definitely, like, in my opinion, their cutest child. The thing with Avelina that I have right now that I'm kind of going with is I think that she is going to go... She gives me a non-binary feel, so I feel like eventually she's going to go from, you know, maybe she, her to she, they eventually. But we'll have to see when she grows up. I'm not sure if she's actually going to go to college. She's a popularity sim. My popularity sims are the ones that seem the most resistant to college. She is in private school, but she only has a C+. She is a Virgo. She's extremely neat. She's shy. She's active. She's serious, and she's super nice. And then I haven't given her a secondary, and I don't know if I haven't given her traits either, even though she's already halfway through her teenage years. So she's someone I'm definitely going to have to kind of flesh out a little bit more. She is a lesbian, so she's currently seeing Dahlia here. But we'll see. I think there's kind of a bigger age difference, so we'll see if that relationship will actually stay. Or if like Dahlia ends up going to college or not. So, but that is Evelina. I'm going to go over to the twins. So Evelina and Zephyr here are playing on the play structure before they head off to school. I believe, I'm sorry, not Evelina, Adeline and Zephyr here are playing on the play structure before they head off to school. I did build this specifically for them. I like generally to have some play structures for families that have a lot of kids. So yeah, this is Adeline. And she looks like she's a little bit more of a Capp. At least she looks more like a Capp. I obviously don't have their aspirations chosen. They're still 5 days before they become teenagers. Adeline is also a Virgo like her sister. She's maximum neat. She's shy. She's pretty active, playful, and nice. And then I want to go over here to Zephyr, who's currently... So yeah, it looks like Zephyr and Adeline are identical twins. They definitely have... this might actually be more Summerdream than it is Capp, but he is also a Virgo who is max neat. Very shy, very active, but he's a little less playful and nice than his twin sister. So they got plenty of time to be kids for now. So they're just going to be focusing on school. And that is Puck and Hermia's household. So I think next we're going to go to Kent Capp, or how he actually goes by Kent Walker now. Nestled over here by the Summerdream house, we have the Walker house. And this is the household of what is now Kent Walker, who used to be Kent Capp, and this is his wife, Constance, and their daughter, Riley Goth. But I'll go ahead and read their description. It says, Kent Capp, the black sheep of the Capp family, left Veronaville for what he thought was for good. Giving up his old life and name, he married and became more successful than even his most driven siblings. As he grew older, he longed to return, and with the encouragement of his wife and kids, they moved back. Will he be able to smooth things out now that consort has passed, or will family grudges continue to drive the family? We are now at the Walker house. This is the house of Kent Walker, formerly Kent Capp, his wife Constance. This is Mortimer Goth II, and this is Riley Goth. I will be changing her name back to Walker. They just recently got married, so I haven't gotten their last names corrected yet. This is Kent Capp. He is now Kent Walker. He decided to take the last name of his wife after Kent basically decided to go off on his own and move away from his sister and brother-in-law's house. He decided to move to Belladonna Cove into one of the apartments, and one of his neighbors actually ended up being Constance. So they ended up forming a relationship, then moving in with one another, and then eventually getting married and having kids. I'll go ahead and show the family tree. So he does have 3 children. His oldest is Talia Smith, who is currently in Strangetown. Riley here is probably the one that's going to take over the house, and Griffin is in university. So very clearly, Kent here is just 1 day away from passing away. At least that's what I think. He got to the top of the education career, but he is retired. He is an Aquarius, so he's a little bit more neat, outgoing. He's lazy, a little more serious, and very, very nice. His secondary is he's a popularity sim, and he did actually have a lot of friends. Kent was very popular outside of Veronaville, but eventually he decided to move back in order to kind of see some of his siblings while they were still around. It wasn't until the birth of their 3rd child did they did they finally decide to move back to Veronaville, and this was shortly after Consort passed away. And then we'll go ahead and see Constance. So Constance is definitely in her grandma era. She's definitely been into sewing at the later end of her life, of her adulthood. I believe she has max enthusiasm. So she was a family sim, so her and Kent got along great, since family sims and knowledge sims always have really good chemistry. It looks like she's about to retire. I feel like she's probably going to wait until her vacation days are out. She's also was in the education career. So she is a college senior professor. She is a Taurus, so she is more neat. She's in between shy and outgoing, a little bit more lazy, pretty playful, and kind of grouchy. And she is a secondary knowledge sim. And then her traits are she's a born salesman, unflirty, grumpy, good sense of humor, and a perfectionist. And look, she has all these projects in her inventory. But yeah, that's Constance. She's basically going to use the rest of her vacation days, and I'm sure Mortimer and Riley here are going to end up having a child shortly, so I'm sure she's going to take over the child care for them. And this is Riley Goth. I will be changing her name back to Riley Walker, just because I do want the Walker name to carry on. She is a fortune sim, so she's definitely somebody that, you know, is used to being, you know, having the finer things in life. Her and Mortimer had great chemistry, so they were immediately drawn to each other. She is a Sagittarius, so she's a little sloppy, a little bit more outgoing. She's active, playful, and a little bit grouchy. She's currently in the adventurer career, a multi-regional sim of some question, level 3. Looks like she does want to get another trait, so she's definitely going to be progressing in her career. She has, her secondary is family, so I do expect her and Mortimer to be trying for a kid here. Let's see. She has, her traits are excitable, good sense of humor, social butterfly, rebellious, and a hydrophobe. So over here working on his garden is actually, this is Mortimer Goth the second technically. So you can tell he kind of looks like his parents. But I'll go ahead and show his family tree. He is the child of Dina Goth and Mortimer Goth. So I did name him Mortimer Goth the second. I'd have to fix the last name because they got married and I didn't want that to be part of her last name. But mainly, I believe Dina actually got pregnant with Mortimer like the same day Mortimer passed away. So it was kind of to keep his name, you know, carrying on. He ended up just happening to look quite a bit like Mortimer, I will say, but I think he definitely has like Dina's eyes and eyebrows and such. He's pretty cute. He is a fortune sim as well, so him and Riley are both fortune sims, really dedicated to having, you know, getting far in their careers and having lots of money. He's in the law enforcement career. He is a detective, level 6, and he will be getting promoted here once he gets these last 2 cleaning points. He's a Sagittarius, so he's very sloppy. He's a little bit more outgoing, very active, very playful, and a little bit more grouchy. His secondary is, I believe, yeah, he's a secondary family sim. So I see him and Riley having like that perfect, picturesque, you know, 2.5 kids household. Don't ask me how that happens. And then for his traits, he's excitable, brave, angler, perceptive, and I haven't given him his last trait, so I will have to do that. I mean, they're 35 days from being an elder, so they didn't just get out of university, but I still haven't had much time with them as adults. But now that they're married and kind of getting onto this part of their life, I feel like we can finally get like their last parts of their personality. So just want to get a good look at him. He's pretty cute. He's got the green eyes. So yeah. And that is my Walker house. This is a very, very nice house. So I am excited for it to start, you know, getting passed out and be treated as a legacy household. And obviously with Kent Walker going to be passing on shortly, I'm sure they'll have to get all their affairs in order. So going down the Capp family, I think we should come over here. This is actually Aaron Capp, who is formerly Aaron Beaker, who ended up marrying Consort Capp. And these are a couple of her children. So this family is a little bit more complicated, but we'll go ahead and get to into the description. Aaron didn't expect to fall for an older man, but him being rich certainly helped. Now that she's long been a widow and seen her family grow up, will she stick around or go back to her roots? Here we are at the home of the Capps, formerly Consort Capp and Aaron Capp, who was once upon a time Aaron Beaker. Her daughter is Robin Capp, and her other daughter is Kaylin Capp. She and Caden Capp are twins. And then this is Sergio Green. He is the soon-to-be husband of Robin Capp. And this right here is little Tarak, and he is the child of Kaylin Capp. So just to prepare you, this is the pinkest house in history. Erin has always loved the color pink, and she's basically, funded this house herself. She is a popularity sim. She definitely had this house because she wanted to do parties here. She is retired sous chef. So she got to level 7 of the culinary career. She is an Aries. She's a little bit more sloppy, a little bit more shy, a little bit more lazy, playful, and a little more nice than grouchy. So she has she's 80 days old. So she is definitely up there in age, but I had her, I wanted to keep Kaylin in here so that way she could help with little Tarak here, or Tarak. I don't really know how to say his name. I've just found it online, and I try to have all my green skin sims have a name that's kind of space related, so that was just something that I found online. For the most part, Erin, she was only really ever serious about being in a relationship with Consort. She didn't really have good chemistry with any other of the male sims except for him, so it just happened. She does have like a couple of other flings, but for the most part, she's just been, raising her kids as a single mom for most of her life. This is Sergio. He is actually the child of Bianca Green, formerly Bianca Monty, and Gabriel Green. So we'll go ahead and see Robin. So here is Robin Capp. She is the oldest of the Capp family. I think I'm going to go show the family tree here. So yeah, here is Erin and Consort. Consort obviously has other children that have passed away. So this family is just massive. But yeah, these are her 3 children. We saw Caden because he is with Desmond Dreamer back in Pleasant View. For the most part, Robin here has just been taking her studies very seriously. Her and her husband, or soon-to-be husband, Sergio, they have great chemistry. They immediately were drawn together. She has already reached the top of the science career, so I think she was felt okay to actually pursue a serious relationship. She is a Cancer, so she's very, very neat. She's kind of shy, a little bit more active, pretty playful, and just slightly more nice. She is a secondary family sim, so yeah, I think she's at this point where she's ready to settle down. And then for her traits, she's a natural cook, friendly, unlucky, dramatic, and a hopeless romantic. We'll go ahead and see Kaylee, her younger sister. So here's Kaylee Capp. She certainly looks more like Consort. I think I gave her plastic surgery as well. And this is her child, Tarak. She is a fortune sim. She's also one of those sims that really didn't want to settle down. She was actually with Adriana Goth for the longest time when they were teenagers. But when she got to college, she ended up just she really was just kind of into Tycho, this is his son here. It was just, they were in the same dorm. They ended up, hooking up through ACR. And so she ended up moving on from Adriana as she got older. She's in the architect career. She's level 8. She's an architectural partner. she does make really good money. She is an Aquarius, so she's a little bit more sloppy. She's shy, she's kind of active, she's playful, and she's a little bit more nice. She's a secondary family sim, but I have not really seen that in terms of her wants, at least not with like having a serious relationship with anyone. If that would have been different, maybe her and Adriana would have stayed together. But for the most part, Kaylin has definitely been almost non-committal. I don't think that's part of her traits. No, she's eccentric. She's a loser. She's dramatic. She's a night owl, and she's lucky. So yeah, she's just enjoying. She just had this child here. It was definitely a random pregnancy. I'll go ahead and show, yeah, with Tycho here. But what's funny is she actually has max chemistry with Johnny, and Johnny is a secondary romance sim. But I don't know if that's actually going to progress into anything that might be fun. I'm gonna go back to Sergio here. So here we have Sergio reading on the bed in their room. He is a little bit younger than Robin. He is a knowledge sim. He has a career in the military. He's level 9 an astronaut. He's a Scorpio. So he's pretty neat. He's a little bit more outgoing. He's a little bit more active. Or he's actually in between shy and outgoing. He's a little bit more serious and kind of grouchy. The secondaries, he's a secondary fortune sim, and he is a daredevil, he has star quality, neat, a vegetarian, and that's it. I have not given him his 4th or his 5th trait, so I'll have to remember to give that to him. So for the most part, yeah, him and Robin are going to get married here shortly and probably start their family. And then we'll go to a little Tarak here. He is not doing too well. He probably had a family member die, so he has a bad memory. Reagan died. But he's an Aquarius. He's kind of sloppy. He's shy. He's pretty active, playful, and nice. So I would see him probably being a family sim, in all honesty. So yeah, this is the first green sim in the Capps. We'll have to work on getting him his skills so that way he grows up well. And he doesn't want to party. Oh gosh. This family's known for parties, so you're probably going to have to get over it, kid. Yeah, no traits, because he's still a toddler. And that was the 3rd Capp family. I think next we're probably going to go visit Miranda Capp. So next up on the Capp train, I think I'm going to go over to this house right here. This is where Miranda Capp is, and Rip Grunt, and their child Nathaniel Grunt. I'll go ahead and read the description. It says, while the death of Albany and Goneril should have brought the Capps together, it's brought the family to their knees. The vast estate and fortune was passed down to the oldest like tradition, but some of the siblings have taken offense considering the eldest Capp's reputation. Can Miranda prove she's reasonable enough not to bring shame to her family's name? And welcome to another Capp Manor. This is the home of Miranda Capp, and then Rip Grunt, who is her husband. Obviously, these two are both romance sims. This was just a situation where I wanted to cut down on a number of households, but I also kind of made it a story because Miranda, it was the oldest and technically the heir when it came to Goneril and Albany's, like their house and a lot of their assets. But when it comes to Miranda, she actually had a second child right here. This is Felix. He's currently at university. And basically, because I feel like Goneril and Albany were very traditional, she had Felix out of wedlock. And they obviously were not happy about that, but that was their first grandchild, so they definitely made it work, and they were, excited that, to have their first grandchild. And then she got pregnant a second time with somebody else, and their family was like, either you settle down or you will not have access to the family funds. And so her and Rip got married. Rip is totally fine with this situation. They have an open marriage. Usually what I do with these families is I give them, he has the committed issues, but I give them this no jealousy trait. And that usually stops any sort of, you know, relationship drama going on. So basically they just go out and go on dates. They usually very rarely have anyone over at the house. But Miranda she's 4 days from becoming an elder, and Rip here is 3 days from becoming an elder. So they're both going to be elders when we play them this round. And then we also have little Nathaniel here, who's going to be a teenager in 2 days. So there's going to be a bunch of parties at this house this round. So here we can see the whole family here. Miranda, this is Miranda and Rip's child. This is little Nathaniel. And if you're wondering why I didn't change Rip's last name, it's because I don't think he really cared to be a Capp, in all honesty. He's just here because it's a nice house, and he was struggling quite a bit on his own. I think he only has one child. Yeah, he only has Nathaniel as is currently his only child. And that's probably going to stay the same, but he does have a bunch of relationships as well. So like I said, him and Miranda just have kind of an open marriage situation. He does have, he did go to college, but it looks like, I think he flunked out either his junior or senior year. So I think this might be the top point of his career that he can get to. I do have a baby saved for him, but I think that's more like for a different sim, like another one of the romance sims that he has a fling with. I feel like there's just always a chance. But he is a master of ceremonies, level 8 in the entertainment career. He is a Sagittarius, so he's super sloppy, but he's very outgoing. He's lazy, but he's playful and nice. And for his secondary, he is a secondary family sim. So he did want to do good by his son here. And then Miranda, she's also romance sim through and through. She is currently a Dread Pirate level 6 in the adventurer career. I don't see her trying to get much farther into it. I don't think Miranda's one that like wants to work so hard. She was kind of lazy, and that's why her siblings were always so mad that she ended up still kind of becoming the heir of the family. And if you see, they had the 4 kids as normal. So you have Miranda, you have Hal, Desdemona, Ariel, and they had one more child over here. This is Franklin. Franklin definitely struggled for the longest time. He's still in the neighborhood, and he ended up moving in with his wife's family. But he was definitely a little upset because Miranda, even though she had a bad reputation, she still inherited the house and all the money, and he kind of thought he deserved more. But for the most part, since he got to move in with his mother and father-in-law, he has been more quiet about the situation. So Miranda's a Cancer. She's a little bit more neat. She's in between shy and outgoing, a little lazy, a little bit more serious, but very, very nice. She's a secondary popularity sim, and she's a great kisser. She has commitment issues, a natural-born performer, easily impressed, and an equestrian. She also has the no jealousy trait. So yeah, we're basically just going to be having parties non-stop here, and I do believe Felix will probably move in, at least for a little while. This is little Nathaniel, and he is in private school. He is of Capricorn, so he's very neat, very outgoing. He's lazy, serious, and nice. So I'm probably figuring he would be a really good either a popularity simp or I think his brother might be popularity. So he will probably have a knowledge as his primary aspiration and then a popularity secondary aspiration. So yeah, this family is pretty small for now. Felix will probably join back after university. But when we do eventually get to this house, it's going to have a lot of parties, a lot of those family reunions going on. But yeah, I think we're going to go over to, I think Miranda's sister is next, but we'll go ahead and see them. So I'm actually going to go over here to the Broke house. I forgot that this is Dustin, Desdemona, and their daughter Imogen. She's technically older than Ariel, so I wanted to try and keep it in age order to kind of hope there's some organization going on here. But I'll go ahead and read their description. After a scene was made at a Capp family party, Dustin has been put on thin ice. Desdemona would only stay with him if they would move back to her hometown, Veronaville. Now that they're here, what they thought would be a new beginning is turning into another stressful affair. So, as I said when we were talking about Angela, Dustin got caught cheating with Angela at, I think it was one of a Capp's. It was a wedding of some sort. So, but it wasn't Dustin's fault. He caught Angela cheating on him, so he had lost his, like love for her, but apparently she still had it, and then ACR did its thing, so I don't want to blame him for that. Welcome to the Broke House. Feels weird being at the first Broke House in the entire series so far, and it happens to be in Veronaville. But here we have Dustin, his wife Desdemona, and their child Imogen. This is their second child. They do have an older son who's currently at university. His oldest son is Skip here, obviously named after his father. Dustin is 8 days away from becoming an elder, and looks like Miranda came to stop by to see her sister. So here is Dustin. I want him to stand up here. Very much looks like himself. I haven't really changed his appearance much in the hood. He's had this hair for the longest time, but I think it fits him pretty well. Dustin's his fortunes himself. He did finish college. He is a secondary popularity sim. And then he is a space pirate, so he got to the top of the adventurer career. He's still an Aries, so he is sloppy, a little bit more outgoing, a little lazy, a little bit more playful, and a little nice. So he's kind of in the middle for most of his traits here, his personality traits. Let's see his actual traits that I have. So it looks like Dustin is neurotic. He's insane. He's a schmoozer. He is unlucky. And he loves to swim. Unfortunately, this house does not have a room for a pool. I wish it did, but I still really love this house. So yeah, Dustin and Desdemona got together after... Desdemona ended up going to college. She met Dustin somewhere when she was at university, and he had been broken up with Angela for quite some time. He didn't really get back into dating for a minute, so Desdemona's 14 days away from becoming an elder. I think that at the beginning of the game, she starts as a child, and he's a teenager. But yeah, for the most part, after that incident with Angela at one of the Capp's family events, Desdemona was very seriously considering dumping Dustin, but he kind of convinced her that it was, not him, which it wasn't him, it was all Angela. And they actually were currently living in Pleasantview, so she was like, I'll believe you if you follow me. So he did, and they ended up here, and then they came back, and then they were trying to have another child, and it took them quite some time before Desdemona actually ended up getting pregnant with Imogen here. So, but it all worked out. They became quite happy in the end. See Desdemona. Oh, she's in the bathroom. So here we have Desdemona with her daughter right here, Imogen. It looks like Miranda decided to stop by. Desdemona is a knowledge sim. She's gotten to the top of the intelligence career. She is probably, I don't know, I feel like she would retire sooner rather than later. She is a Taurus, so she's neat. She's in between shy and outgoing. She's a little lazy, in between serious and playful, and a little bit grouchy. She is a secondary family sim, so she really wanted to have a second child. It did take them quite a long time before they finally ended up having Imogen here. And then for Desdemona, she is neurotic, she's charismatic, ambitious, hopeless romantic, and an equestrian. And then we'll just see Imogen here. She is the second child. And she looks almost exactly like Dustin, which I honestly like the way Dustin's daughters look, because they almost always seem to get his face. Dustin has some strong genes. But this is Imogen. She's actually going to become a teenager here soon. She's in private school. She's an Aquarius, so she's sloppy, a little bit more outgoing, kind of active, playful, and a little bit nice. Or she's very nice. So I will probably actually make her a family sim, because I guess I don't remember what her brother is. She'll either be family or, like, probably popularity. And then I actually do have a couple traits for her. So she's a genius, she's excitable, and she's a perfectionist. So apparently all the instability that comes from her parents, she didn't inherit, at least for now. So yeah, we'll see her grow up here shortly. I think it's funny that Miranda stopped by. For the most part, the Capps have been, like, more forgiving when it comes to Dustin, but anytime Angela's there, somebody starts a fight with her, so... We'll take a final look at the Broke house here in Veronaville. And I do actually really love this house. This lot is very small, and they have a lot of money, so I wish I could, like, actually make it bigger, but there's no way to do that without having to kind of rebuild the whole thing. And it has some weird, because the floor here doesn't have a foundation. It's one of those houses, but I do really like this house. So hopefully it won't be unbearable to record in here. And I think now we're actually going to go over to see Ariel. She's married to Kevin Bear. Right next to the Summerdream home, we have the Bear home here, which is the home of Ariel Bear and her husband, Kevin Bear, and their 2 children. I'll go ahead and read their little description. Kevin and Ariel have 2 adorable sons, but can Kevin be happy with what they have, or will he want more, and what is he willing to sacrifice for it? So it's a pretty generic. He's a family sim, so he wants more kids. That's kind of the story with this family. Welcome to the Bear house here. We do have Ariel Bear, her husband Kevin Bear, Cedric Bear, and Brody Bear. Yes, I did that on purpose. So Ariel here is a fortune sim, and she has money on the mind. She is at level 8 of the adventure career. She's a hostage negotiator, and she definitely wants to move up in the career. She's been mainly focused on her career. I think that, looks like she's gonna have some days off here, but she's definitely a little bit, like, ready to get back to work and try and, like, get to the top of the adventurer career. And I don't think, she doesn't have the want to have a kid, nor does she have the fear, even though, I have Kevin here, who right now he fears it as well, so I'm not gonna fully listen to this just yet. They are a little bit older. They're both 17 days away from becoming an elder. Desdemona is a Sagittarius, so she is sloppy. She's in between shy and outgoing. She's active, a little bit more playful, and in between grouchy and nice. Her secondary is family. So even though she wants to get back to work, she definitely loves her kids. She's insane, inappropriate, virtuoso, lucky, and brooding. So, because of I think it's the inappropriate trait, she literally, I think it might be both of them. She's always in her underwear. I'm constantly having to change her because of that. But, you know, a little bit of spice. And Kevin Bear here is originally from Sim State University. I believe almost all of the Sims from that specific university are kind of involved in the roto in some way, or in the rotation some way, except for maybe Ashley. But that was my first university that I put down. I have all 3 universities. So Kevin here, he's a family sim. He got to the top of the architecture career already, and he is a Leo, so he's a little bit more sloppy. He's in between shy and outgoing, a little bit more active, in between serious and playful, and a little bit more nice. And his secondary, I'm not sure he does. So he's secondary fortune sim. And for his traits, he is a hopeless romantic, he's a vehicle enthusiast, he is unstable, a vegetarian, and loves to swim. So I did actually give them a pool in this house at least. So yeah, he is, you know, kind of like hoping for another kid, but we'll have to see. They're a little bit up there in age. I want to go over here to Cedric, who's now playing video games with his mother. Cedric kind of turned into a teenager recently. He's 7 days away from going to college, and he's a popularity sim, so sometimes my popularity sims don't want to go. He is a Libra, so he's sloppy, very outgoing, pretty active, in between serious and playful, and very, very nice. So yeah, he's definitely sociable. I think, do you have a girlfriend? Yes, he does. He is a Vera over here, and they have 3 bolts. They're both popularity sims. And for his traits, he's insane, lucky, and clumsy. I don't think, he doesn't have a secondary yet. I will give him this. That he will be given that in college. And here's their last child, who very much looks like Kevin here. I was kind of hoping they would have a girl, but I also don't know how Kevin's genetics would work on that. But for now, we have Brody. So Brody definitely looks like his father. He's technically a blonde. This is just a darker blonde coloration that I have. He still has quite a way from becoming a teenager, so he's not going to be growing up. He goes to public school. I think I'm looking to get them into private school here shortly. So yeah, that's this family. And so that's it for this family, but I'm thinking I'm going to go over to Franklin, who is technically her brother. He's still in town. The only person that doesn't live in Veronaville is Hal, but he is on actually the Monty side. So we're finally going to go over to the Monty side of the neighborhood. So it looks like we're finally over to the Monty side of the neighborhood. At the greenhouse, funnily enough. So here we have Bianca, who married Gabriel Green, so she did change her last name. And then we have Franklin, and this is Valerie and their child Francisco. Here we have the greenhouse over on the Monty side of the neighborhood. Here lies Gabriel Green, so he did recently just pass. And him and Bianca have been together. They got married pretty early on. But she does not have... Yeah, she's definitely getting up there in age. So we'll go ahead and see how Bianca is. Over here, we have Bianca holding her grandson, Francisco. Is this her only grandkid? Yeah, it is. And he very much looks like a Capp, it seems. So Bianca did marry Gabriel. They got together fairly early in the rotations. They only had 2 kids. So she is a family sim, so she's definitely happy there's another baby in the house. And she is unemployed. I don't remember. Did she get fired? She did get fired. She got fired and then she never went back to work, which, you know what, works for her. She didn't really want to work for the rest of her life. What was she? She was in the culinary career, so yeah, that definitely sucks considering she's a Monty. So she's a Cancer, so a little bit more sloppy, in between shy and outgoing, a little bit more active, a little bit more serious, and a little bit more nice. So definitely that balanced Cancer personality there. And then her secondary is Fortune, so she did enjoy her career while she had it. She's a hopeless romantic, flirty, loves to swim, lucky, and never nude. So she doesn't have too much time. She's 78 days old, but I'm definitely going to have her help around. Franklin and Valerie here are both family sims, so I actually expanded this house quite a bit in order to kind of have more room, because this is only a 3-bedroom house. Let's see, so it isn't finished yet, but I didn't want to worry about that too much because I know that everything's going to change once Bianca passes away. Go ahead and see Franklin here. So Franklin and Valerie here, they met fairly young. They're both family sims, like I said, so they have good chemistry, and then they definitely were like, we're gonna have as many kids as possible. She did not go to college, and he actually flunked out, so he has an extra fear slot, and he fears getting fired. He's definitely at the top of his career. I believe he got fired or he got expelled his junior year of university. So he is probably at the top of his career unless he gets a chance card. Franklin is the only kid between Goneril and Albany that they had after the start, so they only had one more kid. He is a Taurus, so he's neat, outgoing, a little lazy, very playful, and grouchy. He is always stealing newspapers up in here. And do I have a secondary? For a secondary, he is a knowledge sim. And for his traits, he's hot-headed, rebellious, bookworm, irresistible, and unlucky. So his whole thing, he was the one that had the beef with Miranda when she took over the family's house because she didn't have a good reputation. Franklin, I mean, even though he did flunk out of university, he still thought that it would make sense for, since he was the youngest, since he was there when his parents were aging and helping out as much as he could. But everything ended up being okay when they moved into Gabriel and Bianca's house. And then Valerie over here, she is the one that didn't go to college. I do think I have a secondary for her still, but she's a draftsman. I don't know if she's going to keep this career. I think I'm just letting her use as many vacation days. They got a bunch of money since Gabriel's passing. She's an Aquarius, so she's in between sloppy and neat. She's shy, she's a little bit lazy, a little bit more playful, and very, very nice. And then her secondary is popularity, and for her trait, she's flirty, loves to swim, coward, a schmoozer, and a hopeless romantic. And then we already saw Francisco here being held by his grandmother. He's actually going to age up to a child today, but we can peek and see what his personality is. He'll either be a fortune or a family sim. So I usually decide more when they have other kids because I don't like other kids or kids from the same family to have the same aspiration. I find that quite boring, so I try to change it up. I just use my the way that I choose when it comes to their personality. It's very, it's a suggestion. I'm not 100% serious about it. I'd rather have the variety of different aspirations than having the same ones over and over again because they came from the same parents. But yeah, we'll see him grow up, and then I guess we'll check out the rest of the Capps over on the Capp side of the neighborhood now. This is a house that I actually downloaded and have expanded it. I made it bigger as you can tell over here, there's no windows, so I've been progressing on it as much. I'm not a big fan of building. I would much rather play gameplay, but I definitely do it in sporadic ways. So once they have more kids, I think I'll be more inclined to actually finish this house. There's actually only one more Capp house, and it's way down here. This is actually the Capp graveyard I had talked about earlier. I figured the Capps deserve their own resting place. And then this is Helena, Liam, and Heath. So they have a little bit more of a story, but Helena never wanted to settle down, preferring to keep to her studies, but now her brother and new brother-in-law want a family. Will she be able to provide what they've always wanted? And this is Liam here, which apparently his entire aesthetic is just straight up lumberjack. He is a fortune sim. He's almost to the top of the law enforcement career. He is a Pisces, so neat, a little bit more shy, active, serious, and very nice. And this is his husband over here, which is Heath Lothario, but we'll see him in one second. He has a secondary knowledge aspiration, and for his traits, he is absent-minded, a mooch, a diva, artistic, and I haven't given him a fifth. Nope, it looks like I haven't, so I will have to do that when I play this family. But I think Heath here. Heath is a fortune sim, of course, in the bathroom, as always. So I finally got Heath out here in this nice little garden area. He is the child of Cassandra Goth and the recently passed Don Lothario. He is also a fortune sim, and he is Sagittarius, so he's very sloppy, pretty shy, active, playful, and nice. His secondary is family, so that kind of plays up to what I have planned for this family. He's hot-headed, loner, lucky, a good sense of humor, and over-emotional. And he is in the intelligence career, so he is a field agent, and he is probably going to progress up until the top. Basically, the story, what I'm going to probably play with this family is, even though Helena doesn't want really, like, she just wants to stay single, and that's why I have them kind of together, I think I'm going to have her carry Heath's child, be a surrogate for them, so that way they can actually have a child. I was thinking about adoption, but I think that this will work just fine, and then somebody can inherit this house. I really like their house here, so I would like to keep it, like, in the family, and then I think over here, yeah, so this is where Reagan and Cornwell are. They, like I said, they recently passed, they left a whole bunch of money, so I'm going to try and make this house a pretty nice house, because it deserves it. And this is actually the last Capp family, at least in Veronaville. So now we're going to go down to the Monty side. So finally over to the Monty side, and we're actually going to go to the Monty Ranch here. I did replace this house, but it still kind of has the nice courtyard to it. It's just not all outside. But here we actually have Mercutio with his wife, Brittany, and their child, Isabella, and her new husband. So here is the new improved Monty house. I love this house so much more. It was quite expensive, so I think I kind of had to just give them the money because the original Monty house really wasn't worth that much, but I feel like the Montys are very wealthy. But we'll go ahead and see Mercutio here. Here we are. It looks like everybody is in the kitchen area of the Monty house. So this is Mercutio, and this is his wife, Brittany. This is formerly Brittany Upsnout, I believe her name is, from Sim State University. Let's take a look. Mercutio looks the same. He's actually 2 days away from being an elder, which is crazy considering he starts as a teenager. He's popularity sim. He works in the show business career. He honestly, I don't know why he hasn't gotten promoted. I feel like he's gotten unlucky, or maybe he's just been not at work. But yeah, it looks like he can. He wasn't very serious about his career for the longest time. He kind of felt pressured being the main Monty family, like the head of the Monty family. Romeo showed absolutely no interest. He doesn't even live in Veronaville. He lives in downtown. So it was kind of left all up to Mercutio. So he really wanted to make sure that his parents were proud. Brittany has kind of come from a privileged background, so she was pretty happy to become a Monty. He did go to college, and then his secondary is a secondary family sim. So he definitely started taking his family more seriously. He's a perfectionist, a diva, family-oriented, neurotic, and social butterfly. So this family's been pretty, like, they don't beef with the Capps anymore. This new generation was definitely not trying to keep that tradition alive, even though I wouldn't say they're, like, the friendliest, but there has been some families that have, like, commingled. Obviously, Franklin and, what was her name? Victoria? No, Valerie. They definitely are a Capp and Monty pair. And I want to show Brittany here. So Brittany, I wanted to give her kind of, like, keep to this snobby way of, like, her life. I feel like the upsnout, or is it upsnout or upsnot? I don't remember. Upsnoot. I don't remember, but she doesn't have that last name, and I definitely did not care to keep on that last name. So she is a popularity sim too. For a while, she's a literary agent. This is a custom career that I have, and I think she's about to become the top of it. But she used to run the Monty market, but she lost interest. She wanted to get back to a normal job, so I actually had them sell the Monty market. I would have somebody else rebuy it. That was kind of my intended, like, this is the Monty business, but I didn't really like the lot, so maybe I'll do more of a specific business for them. She was obviously from the sorority house in Sim State University. She's a secondary fortune sim. For the longest time, I always thought she was a fortune sim, but she's also brave, gatherer, hot-headed, night owl, and snob. I had to give her that. So, and she is 6 days from becoming elder, so she's a little bit younger than her husband. This is their oldest child over here. This is Isabella, obviously named after Mercutio's grandmother. She looks so much like Mercutio. I go through phases where I'm like, is she pretty? Is she not? She's one of those sims where, like, only certain hairs look good on her, but she is a family sim, and her husband here, Blake, just recently got married. She is a Sagittarius, so she's a little bit sloppy. She's very outgoing, very active, very playful, but grouchy. She's a ballroom dancer, and she's level 8 of the dance career. She's very athletic. I wanted to make sure that she had a very sporty look to her, but I would say she's still fairly girly. Her secondary aspiration is fortune. And then she is charismatic, over-emotional, virtuoso, hopeless romantic, and I haven't given her a 5th yet, so I'll have to do that when we play her again. Blake here, who is the recently just moved in because they got married, so yeah, he's 41 days away from being an elder. He wants a kid. He's also a family sim, so I think these guys are going to have a bunch of kids, which is nice because I feel like the Montys just did not have very many kids. Their side definitely seems more bare. He hasn't gotten a job yet, and he is also a Sagittarius, so he's sloppy, shy, very active. He's playful, well, a little bit more playful, and a little bit grouchy. I don't know if I'm gonna give him a job. Secondary fortune, so maybe. And then he's a loner. He's a perfectionist. He's a coward. He's athletic, and I haven't given him his last trait. But I do want to show his family tree. He is the child of Brandy Depot Tao, I believe that's how you pronounce it, or Brandy Broke, and Armand, which I was hoping that Brandy's genes would help Armand's, and it didn't. So Blake here, who is the youngest of all of Brandy's children, she had 6 children, has had plastic surgery. Every single one of Armand's children had to have plastic surgery, other than Tara, but she's clearly adopted. But he's the youngest, so Brandy has so many kids. But yeah, she definitely had a full house and had plenty of super cute kids, even if they needed a little bit of help. And then, but I do want to show Isabella's brother, who's right here. This is Enzo Monty. He's currently at university, and I think he'll probably move in here. We'll have to see. This house might get pretty full, so just wanted to give a top view of the Monty house. This version that I downloaded is so nice. Has a nice garage, a huge pool. It still has the tower, which I appreciate. It still gives off that Monty vibe, but is just actually functional. So yeah, that's this house. I had their wedding actually out here in the little courtyard. It was super cute. But this house is definitely a big lot, and I did download this. I think we only have like a couple Montys to go through, so I guess we'll get them knocked out pretty quick. So in terms of Montys, there really aren't too many. So I'll just go to this one here, which has Gia Monty and Ethan Monty. They are newlyweds. I'll go ahead and read their bio. It says, newlyweds, Gia and Ethan are on cloud 9, but how long before they come back down? And then this was the house that Chastity was at before I had her move out to help her daughter with her twins. And welcome to the home. This is Gia Monty and Ethan Monty's home. This used to be the home of Antonio Monty and his wife Chastity. Antonio recently passed away. His grave is still here. I don't have a Monty graveyard yet. That's definitely something I have been looking for because I love this style. I always try to find houses in this style for when it comes to the Monty side of Veronaville, this kind of Spanish villa style. But I want to go ahead and show the family tree here. So here we have Chastity and Antonio, and this is their child, Gia. This is the only child that they have. They got engaged much later in life. This was a spontaneous proposal that happened. This is through the spontaneous proposal mod. So this happened way later in life. So they had one child here, and that is Gia. She is a popularity sim. And I'm going to go find her. And this is Gia Monty. She just got married. They are recently returned from university, so they're just starting their lives together. She got into the politics career. She's level 5. She's doing pretty good. She wants a promotion. She is a Gemini, so she's sloppy but outgoing, active, a little bit more serious, and pretty nice. She's a secondary fortune sim. And she loves to swim. She's unlucky, inappropriate, perfectionist, and flirty. And I believe her and Ethan have been together since they were teenagers. Ethan over here, we'll get a good look at him. His nose is definitely a little bit more distinct, but he is actually the child of Tank Grunt and his wife. I don't know, I kind of call her like Alien. I don't really know, but I call her Allie for short. So she was just a townie that he had some chemistry with. And this is their oldest child. He also recently got back from university, and he wants to get into the gamer career. So I don't believe he has a job yet, no. But he is a fortune sim, so he likes having this big house. And then he's secondary popularity. And then he is a daredevil, over-emotional, handy, friendly, and a great kisser. They don't have too much money. I'm sure when they have one of their parents pass away, but they both have jobs. They should be okay. She might have money in the bank, but yeah, they're just starting their lives, so I'm sure they'll have kids. I do think they got married last round, right? Yes, they did. So they have 3 bolts, so they have fantastic chemistry with one another, even though he has a bunch of 3 bolters, but that's fine. Let's take one last look. And this is the Monty house. Actually, back over on the Capp / Summerdream side, I just want to go over, this is the last Monty family in the neighborhood. It is over on the Capp side. The house was actually the original home of Antonio, but I had his daughter Beatrice kind of take it over. So I'll go ahead and read her description. This says, Justin didn't grow up with a large family, but now, with the death of his parents and uncle, will he keep his relationship with his sister strong, or has he fully embraced being a Monty, even though their last name is Cleveland? So yeah, this is Beatrice Cleveland, Justin Cleveland, and Hazel Cleveland. Since this is just a small family, I kind of figured I'd just put them all together. So yeah, this is Justin Cleveland, Beatrice Cleveland, and their daughter Hazel, who just got back from university. Justin here, he is a popularity sim. He's about to get to the top of the show business career. Yeah, he's level 9, a blockbuster director, and he should actually get promoted today, so that'll be exciting. They're getting up there in age. He's 6 days from being an elder. He's a Taurus, so he's in between sloppy and neat, a little bit more shy. He's active, more serious, and nice. And he did go to college. He is a secondary fortune sim. And he's a daredevil, unlucky, a natural born performer. He's absent-minded, and he is childish. So that's it that's going on with this family. They're just trying to get through their careers. They only had Hazel. Never really wanted to have another one, at least not serious. They never rolled for it. This is Beatrice. She is also a popularity sim, and she's at the top of the or of the military career. She is a general, so she's very fit. She's been very athletic her whole life. Definitely not a girly girl. She's an Aquarius, so she's a little bit more sloppy, a little shy. She's active, playful, and nice. And for her secondary aspiration, she's a secondary fortune. So yeah, they weren't really worried about having kids. And then she is a great kisser. She's unlucky. She's dramatic, a social butterfly, and artistic. She just have her art easel over on this side of the room here. And then this is Hazel, recently returned from university. She is a fortune sim. She has a little bit of a relationship with Knox, but they don't have good chemistry. So for the most part, I don't really have too much of a plan for her. So for now, I don't think she's too serious about getting into, like, marriage or having, like, a boyfriend. Knox is still in university. But I guess we'll see. I don't really intend for them to be a thing forever. She's unemployed because she just got back. She's a secondary popularity sim. So she's pretty similar to her parents, just their aspirations are switched. She's a vegetarian, artistic, a light sleeper, socially awkward, and a daredevil. So for the most part, this family's just going to be about exploring Hazel here, because Beatrice and Justin are pretty much about to be elders. I mean, not even next round, but they will be soon. I don't see them having any more kids, especially this late in the game. But Hazel, however, she's kind of, an open... I don't have any plans for her, even though she's quite pretty. She does look like a mix of her parents. She's pretty interesting. She's also one of those Sims that only certain hairs work on her. So yeah, just this last look at the house before we go ahead. And actually, I feel like it's time for the Summer Dreams, because this is the last true Monty family. And finally, we're back at the Summerdream house. I think this is actually still the original Summerdream house. I want to replace this house so badly, but I'll have to do that. Oberon and Titania recently just passed, so I think it's probably better to do it now rather than later. Yeah, this description's a little too old. This says, Titania and Oberon lived a spectacular life, maybe a little bit too spectacular. Now that their children are grown, will the charms continue or will they falter with them? So this is Sylvan Summerdream, this is Celeste Summerdream, and this is Devon Dreamer. So I will go ahead and go over their story. And this is the Summerdream house. It's still the same house. I definitely want to replace this house sooner rather than later. And now that we have both of their graves over here. I have Oberon and Titania over here. I think I want to create another graveyard for their family. I feel like they deserve it, and it kind of works for the Veronaville town because they have the 3 families and that's it. But I want to make sure that they get like a very like fairy-like one. But I will replace this house soon. But we'll go ahead and see. This is Sylvan Summerdream, Celeste Summerdream, who's at work, unfortunately. And this is Devon Dreamer. So Sylvan Summerdream is actually the biological child between Titania and Oberon. And then Celeste here is child via alien abduction. This happened like right before Oberon turned into an elder, so she's definitely a lot younger than the rest of her siblings. And this is Devon Dreamer, who is the child of Samantha and Darren Dreamer. He is, I believe, the youngest. Yeah, he is the youngest. He just recently moved in from university. So I'd like to meet Sylvan Summerdream. He is the only child, that is the only biological child between Titania and Oberon. So he definitely looks a lot like his dad, but has a mix with his mom. He is a family sim, or I'm sorry, not a family sim. He is a romance sim. I feel like it was appropriate for him to move into this house. He does have, I think he has one child here. He has one child that is currently being raised by his sister. Because I don't think he has any inclination on actually being a father. He is in the architecture career. He's a he's the head of a construction company, so he doesn't make good money, which is why his sister and her boyfriend moved in. He's definitely just been taking being a romance sim far more seriously than his career. He's a Libra, so he's a little bit sloppy, he's more outgoing, he's very lazy, he's a little bit more serious, but he's also very, very nice. And he has a secondary popularity aspiration, and his traits are light sleeper, loves to swim, a natural born performer, over emotional, and a party animal. And finally, here is Celeste. I actually love Celeste. The best happy accident that's ever happened. It was totally a random abduction, but I love her. Since she was a teenager, I've given her kind of this like old, like Hollywood look to her. I feel like she kind of liked to look at old magazines and saw like the kind of Americana theme and aesthetic, and she's been obsessed with it ever since. So I definitely wanted to give her like this more like classic style. It was summer, so I wanted her to have like this cute little summer dress. She is a knowledge sim. She actually just got promoted. She's a project leader in the science career. And she is I haven't given her a secondary one either, so we'll have to do that. And she is lucky, rebellious, a bot fan, over emotional, and I haven't given her a fifth one. So this is definitely more of a fresh family that I have to kind of flesh out a little bit. But this is the new Summerdream, so I think next time I play them, I'm gonna try and have a cemetery for the Summerdreams, and then get a new house, because I hate this house. And they deserve something better. This is Devin Dreamer, the youngest child of Samantha and Darren Dreamer. He did recently move in from university. He hasn't gotten a job yet, but he has a couple careers that he's interested in. He is a knowledge sim, and then I believe Celeste is a family sim. He doesn't, like I said, doesn't have a job yet, but and I haven't even given him a secondary. Oh my gosh. He's been so boring, I guess. But he's lucky. He has a photographer's eye. He has a good sense of humor. He's good. And I haven't even given him... It looks like he built a car. I haven't given him his fourth trait. So it looks like we need to give a little bit more of a personality to Devin. I think he's in need of a makeover. He has kind of more of a college look to him still. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to get married because Celeste is also a knowledge sim. And last look at the Summerdream mansion. It looks really good from this side, but it is a very bad routing house. So I will look forward to having a new one, but we'll get one last look, and then we'll go ahead and say goodbye to Oberon and Titania. There is only 2 more families left in this neighborhood, and they aren't exactly related to Veronaville per se. Right here we have the Riley family, which is Sally Riley, Gallagher, Ruben, and Zoe. I'll read the description real quick. That says, while Gallagher may be adopted, he traced his lineage to Veronaville. Though he finds it beautiful and quaint, will his children be able to see the same, or is this life too slow for them? And this is the Riley house. I still think it fits the Veronaville, like, Spanish villa theme quite well. I usually try to have, like, a little area for gardening. But this is the house of Sally Riley, Gallagher Riley, Ruben Riley, and Zoe Riley. So Sally Riley comes from, her father over here is Timothy Riley, and her mother, Olivia, passed away when she was just a toddler. I think she is actually a child at the beginning of the game. She is married to Gallagher Riley, who is part of the Newsom family, and then they have their 2 children, Ruben and Zoe. Here we have Sally Riley. She is 13 days from becoming an elder. She is a fortune sim. I'm currently playing her as if she has a kind of a midlife crisis. She's definitely... I gave her secondary a little bit later in life because she is actually a secondary romance sim. So she's been like dipping her toe in. I don't know if she's actually gotten with anyone else. Perhaps, maybe, yeah, she has. she's definitely been with Romeo here. So being with another Monty, that's interesting. According to the story, they just moved out here because I thought that Gallagher, you know, had some. He looked like a Monty, so I wanted him to come out and be in Veronaville so that way the Monty side wasn't so empty. So that's how I'm gonna kind of play their family. Sally here, she is at the top of the military career. She is a general. She is a secondary romance sim, and she is brooding, ambitious, a schmoozer, perceptive, and socially awkward. So, yeah. So, she's just been having some affairs. Yeah, she's been having some affairs. So, she's been a little bit wild. I definitely changed her. She was kind of like a little bit more frumpy. So, I wanted to give her like a nice, like, kind of, you know, more eye-catching. It's still fairly like covered, but I just wanted to give her something different. So she kind of just like gave herself a makeover later in life. And then poor Gallagher over here. Please don't be taking your bath. No, he's talking to his daughter. All in their daughter's room, which is the smallest room. And here's Gallagher. He is definitely part of the Newsome tribe. He's actually a super cute sim. So I love the Newsomes. I always include them whenever I can into the families. So he definitely has a lot of siblings. He is a knowledge sim. He is currently at the top of the science career. He is a secondary fortune sim. And then he's neat, lucky, clumsy, charismatic, and he loves to swim. So he definitely came out to Veronaville because he wanted to connect with his roots. He does have a couple connections. I'm not going to make him formally, like, related to any of the Montys, but I definitely wanted him to kind of come back out here. Do I have a couple of Sims? So I guess he knows, like, Beatrice, but not really. So, and then here's Benedict. I thought he had... Huh. Okay, well, I definitely want him to meet Mercutio while he can. Because I feel like that would be, like, the main connection that he would want to make. And now here's their oldest child, Ruben, who I just realized looks a lot like his father. He is one day from becoming or going to college, so he's one day left, so I'll actually probably have him, send him off shortly. He is a romance sim. He does have a job. So he's actually, yeah, he's an overperformer. So he's actually, it's kind of strange when it at least comes to my romance sims. So he's a Gemini. He's in between sloppy and neat, very outgoing, very active, playful, but grouchy. So he's a bit mean. And yeah, that's going to be it for him at least. He's actually going to be a lot of fun to play in college, but I want to go over here to little Zoe. So this is Zoe. I love this dress on her. Oh, someone stole a newspaper. So this is Zoe. Definitely, once again, all red hair for this family, which is ridiculous considering neither of them have red hair. She still has a couple days before she's a teenager. She does go to private school. She is an Aquarius, so it looks like she's a little bit more sloppy. She's outgoing, a little bit more active. She's playful and a little bit more nice. I think she's probably going to be a family sim. Oh gosh, look at those eyebrows. Hopefully she turns out cute. We'll see when she turns into a teenager. And I guess that'll be it for the Montys, at least for Veronaville. Even though they're not technically Montys, I don't want to have them related too much. But yeah, I just moved them out here because I wanted more families that were part of the Monty side in Veronaville. But we do have one more family that actually has nothing to do with any of this, but I want to introduce them. Kind of a weird family, but definitely a fun one. And for the last family in Veronaville, which is way over here, is the Huffington family, where we have Sirius Huffington. This is Macy, their daughter, Heather Huffington, and Zarina and Yuri. We are now at the Huffington house, and I will say that this is definitely my weirdest house. The story is kind of that Sirius and Heather are very, very similar. They're both primary romance sims, and then they both have a secondary family aspiration. So, in my head, I kind of felt like they did want to have kids and kind of want to share that with someone, but they also are just committed to not being committed. So I figured it's like, why not? And they both actually have nature as their one true hobby. So they love nature, they love dating, and they love their kids. So they kind of have like this faraway farm in Veronaville where they didn't know anyone, and they're kind of just doing their own thing. Sirius here. I'll go ahead. I believe he's with his children. Yes. Oh. So he's holding his daughter Zarina here. Sirius is the child of Jenny and pollination technician number 9. And he actually has a twin brother here named Astro. So he's from Strangetown. He's from the Curious family. Heather, I just wanted to get Heather in the rotation just because she has so many relationships with so many of the Sims in the neighborhood. I just felt like it was weird to keep her as a young adult, so I figured her and Sirius could just have a household together, and they both can have kids while also, still having, their flings on the side without it being any sort of issue. So yeah, romance aspiration for his main one. He's almost at the top of the slacker career, and he should get a promotion when he goes to work. His secondary is family, like I said before. And his traits are brooding, irresistible, brave, friendly, and a gatherer. So yeah, I feel like they spend a lot of time in the garden. They're kind of obsessed with like having good food and making sure their children, they're kind of crunchy. I see them being like crunchy parents. Like kind of like hippies gone wrong. And they're definitely not very rich. And here we have Heather out here just maintaining the garden. It's actually a harvest time. A lot of the trees are, yeah, and I think they're both max. So yeah, they definitely spend a lot of time out here. So let me show Heather. So yeah, she's 25 days from becoming an elder. Sirius here is 24 days. So they're about the same age. I kind of wanted them to stay like that, even though Heather's been around since my first Sims went to college. Jeez. So yeah, romance sim is her primary. She's actually in the show business career. So she has a cartoon voice. She hasn't really wanted to gain any skills. So I don't know if she's ever going to try and progress in this career. She is a Sagittarius. So she's super sloppy, outgoing, very lazy, very playful, and pretty nice. And then for her traits, she is a party animal, a green thumb, a night owl, irresistible, and good. And also, just like I did for the other families where I had them be romance sims but still together, is I gave them the no jealousy trait. But here I want to go ahead and meet Macy. Macy is the oldest daughter. She is a family sim, so in my head, she actually does a lot of the kind of the child rearing up, or at least with the twins. I don't think they're going to have any more kids. I think 3 was the upper limit for them. But Macy's super cute. She just became a teenager. I kind of wanted to give her like this little farmer girl look to her. She's like super innocent, wide-eyed with these pretty green eyes. She's in public school. She's an A+ student. She is a Libra, so she's very sloppy, but very outgoing, pretty active, very playful, and pretty nice. And then, I don't think she has any traits yet. No, I haven't given her any traits. She just turned into a teenager. But the twins here, we have Yuri and we have Zarina. They just became toddlers. So he has a little emo haircut. So here we have a little view of the twins, sort of. Put the walls up. See, it looks like Yuri here got the blonde hair and the green eyes, and then Zarina got the red hair, the green skin, and the blue eyes, just like her dad and her grandfather. I swear, all of Pollination Technician's grandkids got his red hair. So many red-haired Sims. But yeah, they are twins, so they just became toddlers. He's a Libra, so I'm probably going to make him, oh geez, either a popularity or a romance sim. I would not mind that, but I'll go ahead and check her out. Okay, she's probably going to be a romance sim. So yeah, they're both very sloppy. He's maximum outgoing, very active, very playful, and pretty nice. Do you have the same? He has almost the same personality as his older sister. And then Zarina is very sloppy, very outgoing, in between lazy and active, more serious, and kind of nice. So I'm either going to have her be a popularity or a romance, or maybe both with her first and secondary aspirations. But yeah, they're just going to be toddlers for this round. And then since Macy is a family sim, I've been trying to see if there's anyone that she particularly has chemistry with. But it's still early on. There's going to be many sims that are going to be turning into a teenager probably during this round before we even get to play her. Looks like she has something for Omari, but I believe he's in a relationship, and these one bolters I kind of ignore. And that is the final household in Veronaville. So Veronaville is large. I think Strangetown's actually going to be a little bit less, so that should be fun. But yeah, we'll get to this family much later on. They're a family I always end up playing late in the rotation for whatever reason, but it works out. So I hope you all enjoyed the second part of my Stupidhood introductions. This is Veronaville. We still have Strangetown, Belladonna Cove, and then I'm going to do a combination of the college sims that are currently there, as well as downtown, which is only it's only a handful of families down there. So we're finally making progress. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I should have a video out next week as well.